The most important SuperCoach podcast of the pre-season is here, the Rookie Bible edition of the Phantoms Lair. This is the Phantoms speaking. Welcome back to what is going to be a big show, an important show of research and rookies for 2026. And of course, like I do every year, I have my friend in SuperCoach Rookies over in Melbourne at the Herald Sun, Dan Batten. Dan, welcome.
It's good to be here, Phantom. Unlike Simeon, I actually have made a team in SuperCoach. So, I look forward to chatting some rookies with you. There's some interesting names and some probably with higher ownership than there should be. So, I'll be looking forward to sort of going through all of them and seeing who's hot and who's not.
That's what we love about Dan, rookie expert over there. No nonsense. This is going to be a no nonsense episode of the Lair. No five names doing nothing. No little gags and, Chief trying to take over the show. This is important SuperCoach business. The rookies, we're going to look at our top 15 rookies in any position this year. So basically the 15 rookies you must pick or must pick from to have a good starting team in 2026. But before we do, Dan, and I'm sure you are already a member of the league because we know you're a long-time listener of the show. But if you aren't, and you haven't joined the Lair League for 2026, get on there and join it now. The league code 128532, 128532. Sign up, pick your team in SuperCoach and do the first thing to do, join the Lair League, because as we put forward in an earlier episode, if we get to 5K members, 5,000 participants in the Lair League, Dan is going to be subject to a listener-suggested punishment. Dan, I'm not sure if you've got any yourself. 5 names, just trying to put a few in. But if we can get to 5K in the Lair League, round up your buddies over there, what should I do?
It's an interesting one. I know you are in Melbourne around one, whether it's maybe the Phantom Streak sort of operation happening at Adelaide Collingwood, just with the Phantom mask on there. I don't know. Not sure. Maybe that's a punishment more for the 80,000 fans there rather than for you. But no, we'll definitely think of something because it's about time you got punished. I mean, I think everyone else has sort of bore the brunt of all the punishments, but we'll definitely be thinking of a few for you.
That's fair. Listeners, get them in as well. We'll discuss them over the final weeks of the SuperCoach pre-season. If you're not already, head to the Code Sports YouTube channel. If you're only listening, get there and watch the show now. Like and subscribe. If we get to 23K YouTube subscribers on the Code Sports channel, we are going to do a bit of a gather around special, something for the fans. So help us get there. If you're only audio only, now get on there and watch, like and subscribe and get us to the target. But Dan, I think we're wasting enough time talking up the Lair. Let's talk about what the listeners want, what the viewers want, the rookies for 2026. It is an interesting crop. We are going to go through the top 15, but overall, we're excited this time every year. It is early February. We are excited most years about the rookie price crop and the cheapies for the coming year. How do you see this pack at this point of the year?
Probably not as good as the year before, where it was very midfield heavy. We had a lot of lucrative rookies that was able to earn a lot of cash for us. But there's still quite a few quality options, particularly in defence. I think that's probably the area where we are going to stack. I think I heard you guys in a previous episode saying that it might be 3 or 4 rookies on field, and I think that could be a viable option in defence this year. In the midfield as well, there's quite a few options there, and even up forward as well. I mean, you look at a couple of guys who we sort of know about, like your Phillipous and Marshalls, and even Max King around that sort of cut price rookie price that are going to be options, I think, for us this year. So yeah, pretty good around the board. Might be the year of the guns and rookies, although according to your team, you're going to have a full team of mid-prices Phantoms, so you might not even need rookies. But I think for everyone else, it could be a pretty decent rookie year.
There is a lot of value on offer, but if you are just new to SuperCoach or just getting your head around what we're talking about here, rookies, doesn't need to be a first-year players. Dan mentioned a few names there, Mattaes Phillipou from the Saints, Todd Marshall from the Power, to both heavily injury affected in recent years. Their price is under the 200K mark in SuperCoach. We are counting them as rookies or cheapies. So if you are listening for the first time or watching, you will hear names like that pop up. So we're going to go down from Willem Dersma, the number 1 draft pick, who sits just over 200K in the SuperCoach price bracket. Everyone under him is classified as a rookie in these rankings and in the Rookie Bible, which you can get in full, in-depth analysis and stats on every name to consider for 2026 at Code Sports and on your SuperCoach app. So Dan, number 1, we talked about a few names there. Where are we going to start? Who's the must-have rookie? We've talked about it on the Lair before. Who's your must-have for 2026?
I mean, I had this guy locked into my 2025 SuperCoach team. Of course, it is Carlton's Jagga Smith, an absolute ball magnet as a junior, and even averaged 100 points in 3 games at VFL level back in his draft year a couple of years ago, coming off that ACL, but has been flying on the track, and he's only 119K as a midfielder, so he is the number 1 by a fair margin, I reckon.
Yeah, and Carlton fans are excited. SuperCoaches should be excited by what they've seen. Let's fingers crossed he gets there because they will unleash him. And like you mentioned, a great all-round ball winner and one who will inject something different to that Carlton midfield. Michael Voss needs him and SuperCoaches need him too. So I'm with you there at number 1, Jagga Smith. In the midfield, I've got number 2, and I think we will stay in the midfield. Now, I looked at my rankings earlier on, and this guy was number 1 for a while, especially when the game opened. But I think with Jagga Smith, we know how much responsibility is going to be given if he's okay. This guy, we're still not 100% certain, although we've seen some good stuff on the track. We know he's been good at junior level, but still some uncertainty given he's only been in the system, a couple of months now. But Dyson Sharp from the Bombers midfielder, 149K. He is ready-made as any in SuperCoach, in the SuperCoach rookie landscape. Dominated junior footy over here in the sample. Dominated even against men in making his league debut as a 17-year-old and a top-scoring mid at the under-18 national champs too in terms of SuperCoach points. So, Dan, I'm not sure where you think or where he's going to fit into the Essendon midfield to start with, but Dyson Sharp shouldn't be far behind Jagga Smith.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. He's been locked in since SuperCoach for Team Picker first opened. Just the way it was men against boys with him last year at the under-18 champs, and going to a good side as well. On draft night, I was secretly hoping that he would be heading to Essendon just for that SuperCoach pick, and he ended up sliding all the way to them, and he is just what they need, really. That bigger-bodied midfielder, a bit taller than your Merritts and Parishes and that sort of thing. And I think the other thing that's key with him as well, he doesn't just win the footy, he also tackles hard, and he added a bit more scoreboard impact to his game as well last year. So yeah, I think all things being equal, he should be there round 1 and could push that 75-80 average in his first season. Yeah,
I think so too. No better junior CV of any draftee, I don't think. You talked about the national champs, we mentioned it, 22 points higher in terms of SuperCoach than any other player in the competition last year under 18 national level. So couldn't do much more to put his name in front of SuperCoaches before landing at the Bombers. And you're right, he landed at the right club. He's hopefully going to fit in and he's ready to go. Think of what an Ollie Wines did in his first year at Port. Sam Powell-Pepper, those guys came in ready to go. He is one. So number 2, Jagga Smith and Dyson Sharp on field at the moment for me. Probably the same for you. Where are we looking next? Yeah. Number 3 in our SuperCoach Rookie Bible rankings for 2026.
I mentioned the defence before, but I'm going to go look up forward another guy I mentioned earlier, maybe a little bit of a risk with his injury history, but he's just got so much potential there at 168k, and that's Mattaes Phillipou, currently in 57% of SuperCoach teams. And I had him in my team, I think it might have been a couple of years ago, and he was pumping out 90s, playing a bit more midfield, and just thought, this kid's going to be special. And I think I remember chatting to him even in his draft year. He's just such a dedicated kid as well. I think that he's got so much talent, and even if he is playing a decent bit of forward time this year, he should be able to push that 70 average, no problems. And with the forward crop being a bit of a dog's breakfast this year, he could easily end up being a keeper for the whole season.
I totally agree. If he's fit, if he's playing the midfield, he's in your SuperCoach team. I said, even if he's playing forward, but at that price, when we talk or think about Mattaes Phillipou, we think of that sort of low end, mid price bargain who could pop and could add significant money to his price tag and become a keeper. But at his price, that would be a bonus, a massive bonus if he became anything close to being a keeper. 168k for a player that, when he's fit and when he's up and going, can score. We know that. So we've got him at 3 at the moment here. 168k, he's just above the other two we mentioned. Probably can't go ahead of Jagga at the price, but you could argue he sits in at number 2 in front of Dyson Sharp. They're pretty close. And if he's fit and he's firing and he puts together some good performances in the practice matches in the AAMI Community Series, that 50% ownership should be a lot higher. So an absolute lock at the moment in my team, and a real bonus. Sits at F5 or even F4, depending on what he produces in the preseason. So 168k, Mattaes Phillipou, a very good one there. I'm going to stay in the forward line, number 4 on our rankings. We'll get back to the defence later, but I think we're looking at the forward options, given the pool on the depth isn't as deep as what we see in defence. So are they more important? Should we look at them first? I think we probably do. But this guy, we've had high hopes for him in SuperCoach for a while. Couldn't get a game often enough at Brisbane. He's now at West Coast. I haven't been completely sold on him all summer, but over the last couple of weeks, as match sim has ramped up over in the West, Deven Robertson is putting his name forward for a spot in Andrew McQualter's best 23 to start the year, and 119k. Talk about being in the system long enough, being ready to step straight into the side and the system. This guy is more than ready. 119k. We don't need him putting up the big numbers we were hoping that he might after we saw him in patches over the past few seasons. But Deven Robertson on my field at F6 at the moment, 119k. Some good reports, as I mentioned, coming out of our Code Sports reporters over there in WA about what Dev is doing at the Eagles. Do you share my enthusiasm, and if you've been listening to Lair, the Chiefs' enthusiasm for his new recruit over there at the Eagles, Dan?
Yeah, I think it's just a no-brainer pick. I mean, if we're going to play devil's advocate, you think, with the way the game is going, with more speed on the ball and, even the new rules being brought in, does that hurt him a touch? That'd probably be the only question mark. But the fact that it's West Coast, this has been, he's been lined up to go there for the last couple of off seasons, and now he's finally there, and he can win the hard ball, but he showed at the Lions that he can play other positions as well, and it might not be a fully fledged midfield role for him, but you think that he should pretty comfortably push 60 average, and at that price, you can just tuck him away on your forward bench. He could even be a forward, a fielding option as well. Up forward. So, I think I agree with him, being around that sort of, probably in the top, 5 or 6 rookies, I reckon.
Is he going to be a better pick than Finn McRae, who's also at the Eagles?
Yes,
they can't all play.
I think so.
Yep.
I just don't, I'm not sold on him. Of the 3 of them, obviously the Schonberg as well. He seems like he's been getting some good reports on the track. I don't know about Finn Macrae. Obviously, he was drafted in the COVID year. We didn't get to see his top age year at all, and was sort of, I guess, maybe even unfairly compared to Jack Macrae. He's almost in that too good for VFL, not so good for AFL sort of bracket. So that'll be a watch for him. I think if he's playing, you'd probably pick Finn Macrae, but yeah, he's probably the one of the three I have the least confidence on.
Yeah, but I think if, Dev's ability to play outside of the midfield helps him there in the Eagles best 23, and he can still score well enough to justify it and make money in the 119k price tag, not in the midfield. So that's why I've sort of got him high, and probably it fits in that top 10. There's a few names here that could juggle around, but who have we got number 5, or who would have you put maybe ahead of Deven Robertson, but 5 in our list for 2026?
I'm just obviously hearing 5 names talk. Sometimes you got to watch out what he says.
You do.
But the fact that Todd Marshall is on kick-ins, apparently at some trainings, he looks to be playing that sort of intercept role. I'm not sure how many interceptors they can have at Port without just like laying a finger on a key forward. But at 147k, obviously he has the injury history, but Todd Marshall, I really like him as an option, especially as a field option. And you think he gets that depth forward eligibility probably by round 6 as well. So, the role change there is really promising. And although there's, I mentioned that there's quite a lot of defensive options, there's probably maybe not the depth the same. There probably is the depth rather in the forward line. There is these good options that you could field, but maybe it falls away a little bit.
Yeah.
So I think he's a good shout.
Yeah. Well, I don't know where the Chief is today, but I heard he was hiding in the bushes down at Alberton, trying to get some vision of Todd Marshall, who's gone full on. Nuff alert the Chief, and he was saying good things about him. So I like it too in my side as we speak. Number 6, I think we should go up to defence. Now, also in defence, I think some of the guys who are making waves in the preseason are at that top price bracket and haven't stepped foot on an AFL field for a game yet. So that's another reason we've got your Deven Robertson, your Todd Marshalls, Phillipou. These guys are severely underpriced, cheaper than some of the names we're going to mention. You probably don't have the ceiling, or the potential, but they've done it before. They're ready to go. And someone who probably sits in between that being, haven't seen him on in a game yet, but probably no more ready-made, not body-wise like a Dyson Sharp, but in terms of the way he prepares to come into the AFL system. Zeke Uwland of the Gold Coast Suns, 199k defender midfielder, and that is a lot of money. But I think he could be one that is worth paying for. Zeke, we know, just dominated under 16 level. His bottom age, under 18 year, really lit up the junior competition compared to an Errol Goulden as a junior AFL talent ambassador. Kevin Sheehan said he thought he was the second coming of Errol Goulden. Very, very smart footballer, left footer, great runner. Missed last year with a debilitating back injury, saying his brother Brodie, who's already on the Suns list, had. But he is ready to go, and we know he prepares, probably prepares better than a lot of current AFL and sort of footballers, as seasoned campaigners too. So we know Dimmer got him on the phone when he was drafted and said he wants him in round 1, wants him to be ready. So if he is there, I think we can bank on Zeke winning a lot of footy, especially given the Suns' early draw. There's going to be a lot of footy won on the inside by that, that really strong midfield. Hopefully Zeke can make that wing spot his own and get on the end of a bit. So Zeke Uwland, expensive, but I reckon just about the pick of those defender rookies in 2026.
Yeah, I mean, I have him in my flex spot at the moment, and obviously the star of the Chasing the Dream doco, made by Code Sports last year, which I believe the Phantom had a bit of a role in trying to scout some of the SuperCoach talent for next year. But yeah, I mean, I think he's a great pick, and he's the sort of guy who will, score quite well without winning a lot of the footy with his ball use. I hope he is half back. They have got a lot of defenders, but I think either way, he still will be able to score pretty well and have high impact per possession. So, and I do recall from that doco the checklist that he had, sort of ticking off all the different things that he'd accomplished, or looking to accomplish. But maybe he'll be ticking off I think he might have a SuperCoach ton as one of his on the checklist this year. He might do it by round 5. We'll see how that pans out. But I think it's on to me now at pick 7. I'm going a little bit left field here. There's obviously some guys with a bit higher ownership than the player I'm going to name now, but I watched him very closely through my role at Geelong advertiser for Geelong VFL last year. Was top 5 in their best and fairest. Got traded for what he described as a packet of chips to the Tigers, and he's slotted in a wing spot there at the Tigers, and that's Pat Retschko.
Yep.
119K, averaged quite strong numbers in the VFL last year. And I just think that he's got the job security. That's a huge tick. You can slot him in on your midfield bench. He's a lot cheaper than these other guys. And he averaged 86 points last year to go with 22 disposals in the VFL. And that included scores of 110 and 135 in the last month of the season. So finished really strongly. And obviously it's difficult for wingers to score well in SuperCoach. That's why a lot of our teams don't have them. But the fact that he can do that, and the fact that he's just an absolute running machine, fills me a bit with confidence that he can sort of fill that Camden McIntosh wing role and be a pretty lucrative rookie with quite good job security.
Yep, no, I like it. I know our Peyton is very excited. You two Tiger Boy is very excited about him too. So in my side as well. I thought we were going to mention another name there from down Geelong way, who is at Freo making waves at the moment. I'm sure we'll get to him a little bit later. Number 8 on my list. Don't need to talk about this guy much. Could be 7 spots too low, Dan. Will Brodie at the Power. Now 5 names trying to tell me he's not going to play, but he's going to play.
Can we get a veto? Can we get a veto?
No vetoes. Will Brodie, 119K. Now, we know he's had these issues about has the game gone past him a little bit, and it probably did at Freo the way he fit in. He just didn't fit in to what that midfield was doing. But Ollie Wines won't play early. And is Will Brodie a better player now than Ollie Wines is currently? Maybe. He's doing some good things. No. Well, we'll see.
I don't think so.
That is a big call. But we know Josh Carr likes him. Josh Carr was over at Freo when he had his breakout year, averaged 3 figures a few years back. 119. It doesn't need to get anywhere near 3 figures to be a good pick in SuperCoach. I'm backing him to play those first couple of rounds, make an impression and stay in the side even when Wines does come back in. I'm not saying he's going to play 22 or 23 games, but I reckon he's going to make a lot of early season cash. And he's going to be a player, I think, if you don't start him, you're going to be looking to get him in before those first price changes. So, might not agree, Dan, but Will Brodie, number 8 on our list. It might be a bit of a stupid question, but what are your concerns?
No, I think we had this similar situation a few years ago, right, when he was a rookie price player at Freo, and it was like, there's no way he's going to play past round 3. I think I can't remember who was injured at the time, but there was a midfield vacancy, and he just kept playing well, and he'd get 60% game time, and did score well. So he does have a SuperCoach game that is conducive, but I guess my concern is, you got Bergman moving in there, Butters, Rosie will probably be splitting a bit of time between halfback and midfield. Drew, Wines, you can't have them all in there. And like Brodie is just shown that his endurance isn't really up to it so far, unless he's like had a huge pre-season and really improved that side of his game. It's probably going to be pretty similar. But maybe the 23 does give them the capacity to play an extra midfielder. But I think most sides are probably going to be using that runner as that extra player. So, yeah, I mean, if he's in, he'd be hard not to pick.
Yeah.
But, yeah, there might be better options in the midfield. You might have maybe a Schoenberg who looks like he's a bit more locked, or obviously Retschko as well, and other midfield options that probably have, the better job security. So, yeah, I think that'll be a watch, but definitely keeping a close eye on him over the preseason.
So he's not in your team?
Not at the moment,
Ooh.
no. But that's sort of bracing for him not being named. But, I mean, the signs are looking promising. But I think Dossie was just, like, he was filming. He would have had 50 clips of him at training the other week.
From the bushes.
And all of them are just all of them are fumbling, or, like, him just looking slow. And he's like, all right, I'll pick the two that actually look good and then post them on SuperCoach socials. But, so I'm a little bit...
I don't disagree there with the assessment of what the Chief was doing down at Albion. But we know, Dan, you guys over there tend to just lean a little bit away from players who play across the border or outside of Victoria, interstate clubs, as you guys like to call it. So we'll agree, disagree, but you make some good points there. In the top 10, I think, given what could happen, but definitely a lot to watch out for over the next few weeks.
Yeah, I'm for my next one, I'm going to go with a guy who, it's just injury really. It's the only question mark. He'd probably be higher if not. And that's might be our second defender on the list, and that's Josh Gibbous. Obviously was a good rookie for us. When was that? Like 2 or 3 years ago. Yeah. And obviously has just been injured since then, perennially injured. He's gone to, he's gone overseas to get that looked at, and it seems like he's in quite a good place now. So, yeah, I think that his intercepting, the only thing that was really that wasn't really in his game a couple of years ago was his size, and I'm sure he's put on a bit of exercise since. And I think if he can get his body right, he could quite easily be one of the top defensive rookies, and he's only 139K, so there's definitely value there. Are you by your reaction, Phantom, you're not as keen?
I'm just looking for the button on my controls here. The old Nuff watch. Now, we know you're a Tigers Nuffy, so you've had 5 picks in these rankings, 2 Tigers as well. So
there's more to come too.
There's no coincidence. But Chief and I debated this on a previous episode of the Lair. I think in our consensus team, I had him in there and I was vetoed in that. But I agree. It's all about, we saw Zach Reid do it last year. The early worry was, do I pick him? He could break down at any point, which he did. But if you didn't pick him at the start, then you did lose out. So I think if he is there playing to start the season, I think he's one you just have to pick on the bench, given, if he can string 5, 6, at the very least games together in the opening, then there's going to be money it's going to be a money train you need to get on, I think. So I don't mind having him in the top 10, even though bit of a nuffy alarm there, which, if it gets any more yellow and black in this top 15, there will be some explaining to do. What are we up to in our rankings here? Number 10 for me.
Number 10.
We're doing the top 15, the top 10. Now, there are a few interesting names I want to get to, but I don't think we can go past this guy, given what could happen as well. Liam Reidy, former Docker, who is now at the Blues. 119K, ruck forward, good dual position swing there. Not a bad flex option too if you want some ruck security. Now, might not definitely, where he's going to start in that side, still a little bit up in the air, but they've been doing some good work in Carlton's forward setup during the match sim. Is he a bit more an athletic ruckman and probably suits the new rules than a Mark Pitnet anyway? Maybe. So I think he can do enough at 119K to help out with our swing there. And he's not as exciting option, or the ceiling isn't potentially not as high from the get-go as some names that we haven't mentioned yet, but I think he's just going to be must-have. It's not a must-have, but I think he's one of these who don't want to leave out of your starting team if he's going to get some ruck minutes and play forward for Carlton. 119K. It's that boring bench pick who I think probably needs to round out our top 10.
I remember last year in the Rookie Bible, you'd maybe you were saying it for effect, I don't know, but you said that Harry Boyd was the lock of the century if Todd Marshall wasn't playing. He played the first game, got absolutely pantsed, and was never seen again. Now he's back at Norwood in the Sandful. I don't know.
What are you trying to say?
Like I'm trying to say that there are some parallels here between. He did get a 2-year contract, so I don't think he'll be back in the waffle. But I mean, Reidy, like he's definitely like as the number one ruck. Like he's he streets ahead of the rest in the state leagues, and he showed that in the waffle and the VFL previously before he was drafted. But yeah, I just doubt whether they can play the two rucks. I can just see a lot of speed on the ball this year. And Pitnet he's definitely going to have that number one role. If he does go down, then that's a huge tick in Reidy's favour, and I'm probably still going to pick Reidy. He's in my team at the moment at R3 more because there's not any. Well, there isn't any other options. What? But I'm more saying that like if there's a better option that comes up, you'll forego him. But I don't know if he's going to be playing round one at this stage. Like, I do think it's fair enough to put him this high, considering that he is mature age and that he could. But at the same time, I just don't know about the job security. It looks pretty shaky, and not sure they're going to go down. I mean, it didn't work too well for them last year playing TDK and Pitnet, so I don't know.
Doing some good work inside 50. I know it's only matched him, but could he line up on Josh Gibbous?
Have you seen some of their defensive efforts? They're kicking.
Is Mark Pitnet,
to be fair, we do want to mark it.
You say there's going to be more speed on the ball. Is Mark Pitnet? Then is he the number one ruckman? Definitely.
It seems like he is from all the. I mean, even we put it out CODE Sports on. I think that was early Jan. Obviously, premierships aren't won in January, but having a look at there, and he wasn't in the 23 that we had there, and then you've got your obviously Harry Mackay. Well, Hayward's there now. Will be interesting to see how they do line up. Maybe he is that third tall that can also play in the ruck, and they use that with the 23. It'll definitely be a watch over the preseason. But yeah, I'm just, I guess, not as sold on him playing right away.
Yep. Who are you sold on playing right away and making an impact number 11 in the rankings?
I'm considering whether to go this guy. I'm going to go him. All right. Not another Tiger this time. But I've been a little bit seduced by a training clip here, and that's Jacob Farrow.
Yep.
I think everyone will have seen him selling candy and playing a bit of midfield time as well at training, which is really promising. I watched him very closely in the draft last year. A half-back flanker who uses the ball well. Got a really penetrating kick. A lot of comparisons to a Jordan Dawson. And he probably will move into the midfield in time, but starting off that half-back flank, we've seen Archie Roberts, we've seen Dyson Heppel in the past, have really strong rookie seasons for SuperCoach.
Yep.
He could be the next one, so I really like him as a pick. He's currently, I think he's in my midfield actually, potentially, but yeah, I think he could be one if he does play. And it looks like he's definitely firming that he'll be a pretty solid on-field option as well.
Currently the best kick at Essendon as well, straight in there. Look at his numbers here. Kicking efficiency at the under 18 champs last year, averaged 80, hit the target with 87% of his kicks. And then in his 3 waffle games as well, hit the target with 85% of his kicks. Now we know some kick-ins do help with those percentages, but they are some good numbers. He was averaging 14 kicks at the champs and 11 at waffle level. So good kicking is good, SuperCoach, as we always like to say here on the Lair. So I do like Farrow at number 11 in my side too. Just it's going to make them look a better side. It's going to make them look coming out of defence, I think, in his first season. So I do like that one. Where are we going to go next? I like a few different names here for number 12. Is it too early to have a look? Now, we are going to mention maybe a couple little smokies as well that we didn't get to afterwards. But now you know a lot about this guy. I'm going to put him in there because his highlights do keep coming up from over in the West again. A mature age or two, which we love in SuperCoach. And I think you wrote in the Bible, which you can see on Code Sports, that Fremantle said on draft night, if there was a role for Tobyn Murray to fill, there is a role for Tobyn Murray to fill if he has a strong preseason. And I think he is, from what we've seen. 113K in the forward line, mature age, averaged 77 SuperCoach points per game in the VFL last year. He's not Murphy Reid in terms of how smart a footballer he is, but we saw the Dockers happy to give Murphy Reid a big go and responsibility in his debut season. And this guy has the tools to play a small forward role. You know him better than I, and a lot of super coaches out there watching him and seeing him over there down at Geelong. Are you picking him?
Before that clip, I had him in my first team and I had him for a while. And then I didn't hear a lot about him. So I was like, okay, maybe not. Maybe he's a bit later in the season for a debut. But yeah, seeing that clip the other day where he had repeat efforts, handball over the top, handball back. That's just what he was doing, on a weekly basis at Geelong VFL. He's a really committed guy. He was playing like Geelong League footy 18 months before and sort of not really getting a look in at VFL and, sort of just, worked his backside off to get there, and interviewed him after he was drafted as well. And, just like I might have to get the sound enough alarm, but yeah, I am big. I'm big on Tobyn Murray. So yeah, I think definitely a bit of a watch in the preseason games, but I think he is exactly what the Dockers need, that sort of link man player from half forward to midfield, and did average solid numbers last year. And that was with a lot of, there wasn't many non-AFL players playing in that team. So he was definitely holding his own, and was probably one of the most improved VFL players last year. So I think he's definitely a good shout.
Yep, well, I stole him off you then. He's probably on your list to call out in the next couple of picks. But we're up to 13. What have you got?
It's like choosing between your children here. Again, probably sound that enough alarm. It's going to be a hard choice for the last few. But I think I might have to go another Tiger. Again, another training clip that surfaced and sort of made SuperCoach fans and Richmond fans go gaga, and that is Sam Grlj, a speedster. I think, you look at what the Tigers have done in the previous draft as well. I guess what the talk was, maybe it was Sullivan Roby that were going to pick him.
Grlj.
Fire up the Grlj. Very good. I think he is one that the Tigers need. That they need his pace, and he probably does start off a halfback flank. We don't know exactly if he is absolutely locked into that Tigers side, but I think we'll get a look at him in the practice games, and he is just electric and a really good player to watch, and showed at junior level as well. He doesn't need a lot of the ball to have impact as well. I think it was he's averaging, in his VFL games, because he did play a couple of VFL games, posted 104 points from 18 disposals and then 88 from 15 touches. So again, and that depth forward eligibility as well, 172,000. I think he can have some serious impact, and we know the ball's going to be down in the back line probably a fair bit for the Tigers this year.
Yeah, like it. No, I have to agree. He's a bit of enough. We know that's 3, the Chiefs counting as well. The Tigers in your list, but no, he's been very impressive by what we've seen. I am going to go back to the midfield at number 14. I'm still slightly concerned. Not concerned, maybe, but like just still want to see where this guy, and if at all he does fit in to what Brisbane are doing. But in terms of ball winners and potential Supercoach scorers, Dan Annable from the Brisbane Lions, I think we have to get him in the top 15, 181k. So it is a lot of money to pay for a player who, has to fit into the comp's best midfield. But we saw Levi Ashcroft come in and perform in that system in his debut season. I think the Lions are on record, the quote's been going around that, if he was eligible to play last year, Dan Annable could have fit into that side where needed. So 181k, it is a lot to pay, but again, if he can produce some good numbers in the practice matches and the Amy series and show that he is going to fit into that system straight away, then it is probably going to be worth paying for. And maybe that price in the midfield is going to be worth paying for him over someone like a Willem Dersma, the number 1 draft pick, who is the highest priced rookie in this bracket we're considering, who hasn't yet featured in our top 15 with only 1 pick left. So Dan, your namesake, Dan Annable, how do you see him fitting in? And then we move to pick 15 in our rankings. Is the number 1 draft pick, Willem Dersma, going to get in?
Well, just first on Dan Annable, I spoke to him at the draft combine last year, and he was well aware that, he's going to have to play different roles, probably similar to what Levi Ashcroft did. Draft nuff, yes. What Levi Ashcroft did last year. It will be a bit of a watch though. But he was averaging 22 disposals, 91 Supercoach points at VFL level last year. So he definitely has the game for it. It's just whether he's in that side, it will be a bit of a watch. Now, there's a few options here, particularly in defence that I like. There's even another Tiger I could potentially go. But I don't know. It's just a bit about this kid. Okay. And you hear people at Melbourne talk about him. Their recruiting manager said he's confident in a good way. We feel like he plays footy in the manner that breeds success. And he was responsible for helping Eastern Rangers to a premiership last year and bolted up draft boards. That is Xavier Taylor from the D's. He's the sort of guy that I think can just slot in at halfback for Melbourne. They're going to be playing the kids this year. Averaged 18 disposals, 106 points in the Talent League, and 84 from 15 touches for Vic Metro. So he can score well without getting a lot of the footy in his hands. Uses it well. Also has a defensive side to his game, which I think will hold him in good stead from a job security point of view. But yeah, Xavier Taylor, what do you think? And controversially, none, not including the number 1 pick, and even a couple who have over 30% ownership as well, Phantom.
No, I'm happy. I'm happy with that. A lot of good things coming out the D's, and we saw what Xavier Lindsay did at the Demons last year. Harvey Langford as well. Obviously, Harvey Langford, completely different player, but it is about the kids over at the D's, and I think the way the game's going to be moving speed-wise, like you mentioned before, this season, then I think Xavier Taylor does fit in to what, and we like the price, and that's why we think we've probably left Willem Dersma out. 202k is a lot to pay for a freakishly talented player, but looks to be setting up on a wing over there at the Eagles. How much footy is he going to be able to win off to start with in his AFL career to justify the price tag? He's got to do a lot more than some of these names we mentioned, given where he sits in the price order. I'm happy we left him out. The Chief is sitting here in the corner of the room, shaking his head like he has been most of the show. But one more name, Dan. Let's go. One more name, a bit of a smoky from each of us to round out here the Rookie Bible edition of the Phantoms Lair. Now, this these lists could change, obviously, and will change once we get some practice match numbers, some Amy Series numbers, and a better idea of how sides are going to line up for the season open. So we might reconvene later in the preseason for an updated Rookie Bible edition, but this is a good list to get you started, to plug into your Supercoach team and then build around it. But one more name I do want to mention, 197k midfielder from the Hawks, Sam Butler. Now, his AFL return last year, 418 days in the making, coming back from that badly broken leg, but had 20 touches, 9 contested possessions, 6 tackles, 70 Supercoach points in a game that showed glimpses of his midfield capabilities. Yes, he was out after a third game, but went back to the VFL, put up some huge numbers in the midfield. Then had an impact in the final series for the Hawks, which doesn't count to his Supercoach price, which is a good thing for Supercoaches. 15 disposals, 2 goals in the elimination final. In the semi-final win against the Crows. And there was a sprinkling of CBAs in the back end of the year. We know Will Day is not going to be there to start the season. James Worpel is at the Cats now. So for a player who looks like he will graduate to the midfield at some point, he's been impressing on the track. He's been leading some of their running work out there at Hawthorn. So even if that sprinkling of CBAs gets a little minor uptick to help fill the void of who's not going to be there, I think he's one that could make some money at 197k and surprise in Supercoach for 2026.
Yeah, he's an interesting one. The Hawks were down at Geelong training through their preseason camp last week and watched 4 periods of match sim, and Sam Butler was in the A side there. So it looks like he has, he is firming for that round 1 berth or opening round berth for them. But yeah, it is an interesting one. He was playing more wing, bit of half forward, did show some good signs. So his pressure's always been really strong, and that will hold him in good stead. But again, it is a bit of a question mark there as a sort of a wing type at 197. But I like it as a bit of a point difference. Now for my smoky pick.
What have you got?
Get the Nuffle arm out again. Actually, this is again another Geelong link, but I mentioned...
That's a red flag as well, by the way. So just... What have you got?
Loving the soundboard. I can't even think with all these noises coming at me. But so I said, I'm going to put this guy into the Rookie Bible to Phantom last week, and he actually said to me, did you make him up?
This is a stitch.
Did you make him up?
I did say
I've got the messages, I've got the receipts. And then 4 days later, would you believe it, in Jay Clark's review of their match sim up there in Queensland, it said that he was the Bulldogs bolter for round 1, and that he looked almost certain to play early on in the season. That's Lachie Jaques in defence. He's 119k. He only in 2.3% of sides. I reckon that would have gone up after Jay's story over the weekend. But a bit of an intercept defender, can use the ball well, defends well. We know the Dogs need that. Not necessarily so good for Supercoach, but good for his job security, I think. And with Lachie Carmichael going down, who looked pretty good for a round 1 spot, he's the next cab off the rank and had some pretty promising games last year, averaged 77 points in the VFL, and in the prelim final had 21 touches, 8 intercepts and 112 Supercoach points. So yeah, I think he's definitely one to look out for your defensive bench.
You can never doubt the chief, Jay Clark. So have reason to doubt you.
The real chief.
Oh, the real chief, exactly. Yeah, not Muscles, Chief Muscles from the coffee shop. But that shows how many names we've got in the Rookie Bible, which you can read at Code Sports and in the Supercoach app. I think we're up to 50 in-depth profiles, stats, and the latest intel on every name to consider. We've named the top 15, a few others on the fringe that you need to start with. Again, if you want to make up your own mind, do your own research, come up with your own watch list for the pre-season games. Codesports.com.au. The Rookie Bowl for 2026 is up and at 50 names. We will be adding to it, Dan, over the coming weeks, and of course adding our verdicts to each player over the coming weeks too. So get there, check it out. Look, again, if you are watching on Code Sports YouTube channel, down in the comments, in the description, the link will be there. If you're not, get over there and like and subscribe now. But a pleasure once again, Dan. I'm sure we will reconvene, as I mentioned earlier, for an updated Rookie Bible. And I'm sure we'll have you on the Lair again at some point in 2026. Just don't wear those Tigers colours, because I know they're probably sitting there behind the chair and hours in the room there with you, and you're waving your flags, because it was a yellow and black heavy list from you.
Yeah, well, I hope that in the next 15, I might even have to put a little cheeky wager on it myself that Will Brodie will be nowhere near the 15 by the next time we reconvene.
What do you want to wager? I've already got something with 5 names.
We might have to discuss. We might have to discuss that. Well, we can stay tuned, but I don't think he's going to be in the 15 next time. But it's been a pleasure as always, and yeah, I look forward to coming back and just spruiking more Tigers.
Yep, big pre-season, big month coming up. The practice games are almost here. Opening round really is only a month away about the time of recording. So a big month of SuperCoach research, and we'll have we covered here on the Phantoms Lair and the SuperCoach AFL podcast in general. Of course, quickly join the league, 128532, the Phantoms League for 2026. Get us up to 5,000 entrants before opening round. See you on the other side.